Morning. Today we're going to be talking about organ donation because it was recently the World Organ Donation Day. And today we'll be focusing on the kidney. Good morning, Prof. Awobusuyi and Dr. Umeizudike. It's a pleasure to have both of you here on the program with us today. Two eminent nephrologists to talk to us about this very important subject. If I can just kick off with you, Prof. Can I just say that I'll ask you, why organ donation? Why do we need to talk about it? Why is it an important factor to talk about, particularly as you're a nephrologist? Is it a relevant thing to talk about even in Nigeria today? Is it being done? Why do people need to know about it?
Thank you very much, Dr. Pamela, and thanks for having us. Your here. Yeah, the topic, the organ donation, is an important one when we look at the number of people battling with organ failure in Nigeria or globally, worldwide. Because if you look at it, a lot of diseases with the advanced treatment that we have, many people are having a prolonged life, and many of them are ending up in organ failure. So it's an important topic, and to keep those patients who are in organ failure alive, in many instances, they will need to have organ transplantation, at one point or the other. So it's a very important topic, and it speaks to something that is quite beneficial, because we know that those who receive organs, those who are transplanted, tend to have a better quality of life than those who are on other forms of treatment. Not only that, they also have survival advantage. For instance, if somebody is on dialysis, they don't tend to live as long as those who have already had kidney transplantation done. And as I've said, not only that, the quality of life is better after transplantation. So transplantation is an important topic for that. And this is a program that is not widespread in Nigeria as we would have loved it to be. It's restricted to a few hospitals who are doing very few transplants in a year. And so
Why is it that only a few are being done? Do we need more? How much more? What can be done to make it a better program to allow more people to live a better life, the life we've described?
Well, yes, we need more hospitals regulated and participating in the program. The problem is, with the hospitals how there are issues with getting eligible donors for the recipients. Secondly, the cost of transplantation is pretty high, and very few patients can afford transplantation. And post-transplantation care in terms of the anti-rejection drugs. This has been led to my colleague.
If we can start with the first one, the first thing you mentioned, which is the fact that we don't have a lot of donors. How can we mitigate that? Perhaps I could ask Dr. Theophilus to weigh in here and to help us with this. Dr. Theophilus.
Okay, so the issue about shortage of organs is a worldwide thing. Recently, it was in the news that some man in the US got a pig kidney, and he was able to survive the first few days, discharged home, but he ended up dying some weeks after the transplants. So, the human source from which we expect that people should get kidneys and other organs is kind of limited because the number of people needing these treatments far outweighs the number of whether disease donors or living donors. So in our climate, Nigeria and most parts of Africa, most of those that do kidney transplants is from a living donor. So they need to get people whose tissue matches theirs, and most times it is those who are related to them. So that's why when a parent has it, maybe the parent's siblings, or if a grown-up child over 20, 25 decides to donate, or if a child has it, could be the parent that will then decide to donate, because those are the people whose tissues matches theirs. However, in other climes where legislation has been developed, storage facilities has been developed, ability to do this tissue matching has been developed, it's a kind of a bit easier because people on the waiting list, average time is from between 4 to 6 years. While the person is waiting on the list to be transplanted for kidney transplants, they'll be on dialysis. All right. And that enables them to continue that treatment week in, week out until they get a donor. And the way these things happen, someone can be called up in the middle of the night that, oh, there's an organ for the person. And so an ambulance has to move the person from home to the hospital. And within a space of about 6 to 8, 10 hours, the surgery is done and recovery then follows. But of course, after the transplant, like for any other organ, for kidney and many organs, the person has to be on immunosuppressive medications for a lifetime. Okay, so there's shortage of organ everywhere in the world. The waiting list, I mean, it's just there for places where they can get disease donor. But for our climb, we encourage patients on dialysis to get their relations and get them to be their donors. Yeah, so that's the way it is. It's a worldwide thing. And that's why the concept of genetically modifying pig, because the pig DNA seems to be the closest to human. So they just modify the gene of that pig, grew it in the lab, and then
Try
transplanted
to
it
see if it would
into,
work. But we talked about
yes,
the deceased donor. And
yeah.
I think for me, one of the things that is interesting is it's a challenge getting the live donors. But this issue of trying to get deceased donors, I don't know if you want to talk about it and perhaps elaborate a bit more about what is a deceased donor, why there are so many out there, and why in Nigeria we don't have any.
Okay, so the thing is, first of all, you need a legislation, you need a legal framework that will kind of guide whatever you're doing, so that people will not wake up and say, oh, that hospital or that hospital, when people die there, they take their organs and they do all sorts with it. All right. So that's something that needs to be done, and the legal framework has to be there. And then there has to be the need to even
Is there anything
counsel
being
the
done about getting that legal framework done in Nigeria now? I think you
Oh,
mentioned
yes. So
Lagos
there's
State is
work.
working on it so that we know what's
Yes.
happening.
Yes. Lagos State is working on it, and it's still an ongoing work. And I think at the level of the national, there's some work also going on. I think Prof. Awobusuyi will elaborate on that. But it's important that the legal framework is set in place so that it's not that I'm a rich person, I'm able to access an organ, while someone that is not so rich then comes on to, it's not able to access the organ. So it should be based on criteria that is set by the coordinating body to say, okay, this person irrespective of their social status, they can access an organ, so that it's not an exclusive right of the rich or the well-to-do. So there is that legal framework that will protect both the physicians or surgeons in hospital and the hospital themselves, as well as the relations of whoever decides that, okay, let the organ of our relation be taken and given to those on dialysis or others that need other organ transplants. So that legal framework has to be there, that we kind of guide and help to moderate things, and things are not done haphazardly. Yeah.
So, Prof, are there any other reasons why we're not getting, apart from the legal aspect, why we don't have enough deceased donors and that program is not active?
Yeah, the major thing is that it is a program that is yet to be established firmly in Nigeria, because it involves a lot of organizational setup, a lot of policy issues with the government, a lot of training. It's quite totally different from living related organ transplantation process. You need to harvest the organ from the deceased donor. You need to keep the deceased person in the ICU or the CCU on ventilator. We need to ensure that the families understand the process, what it involves. Why is it that this individual that they are looking at on the ventilator, the chest moving because of the ventilator? Why is such a person brain dead? So the concept of death in that situation is totally different from the concept of death that they are very familiar with. That's the cardiorespiratory death. Whereas in the ICU, we are talking about brain death, which is a form of widely recognized set of criteria for death of an individual. And this is one patient enabled organ harvesting from a deceased donor, in that we are now taking the organ from a brain dead individual, which legally is dead, according to the dead donor rule. And so this, as we said, will improve, availability of organs, viable organs, because after death in a brain dead person, we can harvest the kidneys. If a brain dead individual can save about 8 lives, because the heart, can be harvested. 2 kidneys for 2 people with chronic kidney disease, end-stage kidney disease. We can harvest the pancreas. We can harvest the liver. We can harvest the intestine. We can harvest practically any organ, from that brain-dead individual. So not only will it improve availability of kidneys, it also improves availability of other organs and will expand the scope of organ transplantation in Nigeria. So this is a desirable program that we should, working on, and we should try to establish in the country.
Prof, I must tell you, there are some people who are really, really shocked listening to you talk on this program today. When they hear about organ harvesting, they are thinking, oh my goodness, are you going to take it from my relative? How on earth are you going to know? How will I know if he's dead or if he's not dead? And is that thing not going on at the moment? When they hear about rituals and this and that, there's a lot of confusion. So I think you need to really clear that up right now and explain what happens is it the same thing when the ritualists remove organs? Because some people think, these organ donations, where are the organs going? Who is it getting to? Is it part of ritual? You need to clear this up. How do you differentiate this official, removal of organs for the purpose of saving lives from the rituals and other things that are going on currently?
Well, thank you very much for this question, because it's something that we need to explain, to the public. When we talk about organ harvesting, it's a procedure that we do in the hospital, in theater, with surgeons, qualified surgeons, and qualified theater personnel in attendance. The act of removing the organ from the body, which we call organ harvesting, is quite legal. It's when somebody now trades in an organ, that's where the illegality comes in. Because an organ is not a commodity, so you cannot commodify an organ. It's not yam or anything that you can sell. It's illegal. And so the harvesting is perfectly legal by law. It's trading in organ that is illegal. And let me comment on that issue of people not trusting that the organ will be removed from somebody that has been certified dead, legally. We have a set of criteria for certifying people brain dead. And when we look at it, the higher function of the brain be absent. The brainstem function will also be absent, completely absent. There will be demonstration of, if you use EEG, electroencephalogram, there will be no electrical activity. And then if we try to, that perfuse the brain, it will be totally to show no blood flow in the brain. And when that happens, we also come to the final test, which we call the apnea test, in which if you take the patient off that ventilator, you actually see after some minutes that the ventilatory effort will start diminishing because the patient can...
So he will not breathe. So the person cannot breathe themselves.
Yes. So if any patient that's, satisfied all these three requirements, is legally and clinically dead. And it's from such dead individuals that organs can be removed. Yes, with the permission of the relatives. You cannot remove an organ without consent from that consent by the relatives. So it's a vital component of that.
Now we've talked about this, that is this process that is actually one we're hoping that will be started to benefit the many people that require organ transplants. But I don't know if Dr. Theophilus can talk to us a bit about the process for living donors, because right now we're working with living donors, and we're saying this is something that we still also need more of. So can you tell us, so the people who are listening, if they come to them and say, I want you to be a living donor, some people are very afraid. What would you say to educate them about the process that would help them in making a decision as to which way to go? Dr. Theophilus.
Okay, so thank you very much for the question, ma'am. So it's something that the people who offer to be living donors actually apart from helping the person who's on dialysis, they're also helping themselves. All right. Why do I say so? Before we certify anybody fit to be a living donor, we screen from head to toe, more or less. So there have been people who, in the course of offering to be organ to donate their kidney, we discover a tumor, which was silent. It was innocuous. I mean, it could kill the person in some months or years down the line. But once that is discovered in the course of screening, the screening process is halted, okay? And another donor is sought by the recipient. So the benefit is not just to the recipient, but the person, him or herself, who opts in to be a donor, actually avails the person's self of doing a total body check, because it's really a rigorous test. We want to be sure that the person doesn't have high blood pressure, doesn't have diabetes, is not positive for HIV, hepatitis B or C.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the donation of this kidney. Will I not need this kidney now? And more importantly, will I not need this kidney in the afterlife when it comes to resurrection day?
Right. So the thing is that when one parts with a kidney, all right, the other kidney that is left behind gets a bit bigger and is able to compensate for the one that's been taken out. It may take some 6 months to 1 year, but ultimately that one kidney left will be able to carry out the function of two. And by it, yes, there might be some risk of high blood pressure much later in life. Of course, by the time the person is donating, we're sure they don't have high blood pressure, okay? And then they don't also have any other health issues to be afraid about. So down the years, down the line, it's not everyone that develops that, okay? And studies have shown that when you compare living donors with people who did not donate, the incidence of high blood pressure does not necessarily differ between the two of them, okay? So there's no harm in donating. In any event, you're helping yourself, you're also helping someone else. You're helping yourself to check your health status to be sure you are healthy. And of course, after you've donated, of course, you want to be a bit more careful. You don't want to live any rough lifestyle. And that helps you to kind of be more purposeful in your living, be more healthier. And you don't want, the person will not want to go into smoking, drinking, or living any other dangerous lifestyle. So I think in a way, people should be encouraged to donate their kidney. And of course, they must be screened to be sure that they are healthy. And of course, there might be the need for them to continue to live healthier after the donation. So it's a worthy venture that people should opt to do. Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, time is fast spent, and we just have a few minutes left. So do you have any last words for us, our listeners, to encourage them, those who are thinking of it, or those who are even, out there? There's some people who are out there who need a kidney. Maybe they're on dialysis, maybe they need dialysis, they're afraid, they don't know where to go, how to ask people what to do. Do you have any last words for them?
Right. The last thing I would just say is that life is a gift. When you have life, don't be selfish, right? If a relation needs it, if a friend needs it, opt in to be a help. Okay. At the end of the day, you're helping both yourself and the person you offer to donate your kidney to. That's my parting word. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prof.
Yeah, certainly. I just want to disabuse the minds of listeners about reincarnation and that myth of coming back with missing parts. If you look critically at cultures, the cultural perspectives on reincarnation, it's actually the soul that is believed to come back. The physical body is believed to be dust in many cultures in Africa. And after death, it's dust, it's the soul that goes away and comes back if that is believed in. But what happens to the physical body is that the physical body, is dust and will return to dust. So if we look at it from the point of view of gift of life, organ donation provides a gift of life to a fellow human being. If we have the capacity to do that or to consent to organ donation, organ harvesting from a relative, I believe that we can help humanity by allowing organ harvesting from deceased relatives and allowing transplantation to go ahead, because this is life-saving for many people. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for new video updates.